Welcome to this edition of Week in Review. I'm Marlon Paley along with Mackenzie Campbell. Next to her in red, Brianna Neely. And of course on the couch, it's Jay Hughes and Ganem Hanna. Today we want to just introduce you to what's going on, not only here at the Loma Linda Broadcasting Network studios, but also through the world. As usual, we will start with the verse of the day from Ganem Hanna. Ganem, what do you have for us today?
Well, Marlon, I have today two verses, if I may. There's an interesting connection here. In 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 20, it says, "Therefore, we are ambassadors for Christ, as though God were making an appeal through us." Making an appeal through us. That's just interesting. "We beg you, on behalf of Christ, be reconciled to God." But the second verse I want to read is 1 John chapter 4, verse 8. "Anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love." So here's the ambassadorship and love, how they come together. As Christians, we are supposed to be the true ambassadors of God's love, grace, to represent his characters, not people of anger, people of revenge, but people of peace, reconciliation, loving one another. And just to take it further, when the Bible says, love your neighbors, you love yourself. You know, I grew up in an environment where that was true years back when I was growing up. Neighbors fed each other, they gave food to each other, they knock on the door and they want you to have some of their soup or whatever they cooked. Parents, as they see kids' activities on the street, they tell other parents if there's any misconduct. I mean, that is the God's family. That all ties together in being ambassadors, representing God's love. But unfortunately, we're living in times, the world is moving forward and the way technology just pulling us back, staying so busy. I don't think as much as we love God, as much as we understand God, we are not living as we're supposed to be as Christians. And that's a big challenge in society these days, because I tell you, I'm so much on the go, I don't know all my neighbors. I don't even know if I love my neighbors because I don't know them. So just a big reminder for all of us, let's not be too pulled in the world demands, and to take some time out and get to know each other and show God's love through us.
Amen.
If I love you, brother, you know I follow a good God. But if I'm constantly biting you, then I must not know my God. So just a thought for the day.
Well, I really appreciate the first verse. I want you to read that again, just to refresh us.
The 2 Corinthians
Sure.
1? All right. "Therefore, we are ambassadors for Christ, as though God were making an appeal through us. We beg you, on behalf of Christ, be reconciled to God."
You know, that's very serious words. It gives us a serious mission, and I think that that verse is reflected all through spirit of prophecy that tells us that we are instruments in God's hands. You know, we are agents for his work. You know, he could do it just through the angels if he wanted to, but he has always employed human beings to be, like you said in the verse, ambassadors through for Jesus, to witness for him. I mean, our mission is to live a life that is Christ-like. You know, that's what Christian means, is to live a life of like Christ showed us in his example when he was here so short on this earth. And often today's Christians really are devoid of that. They don't realize what that is according to what the heavenly agencies employ us to do. So it's something that we should take seriously. I mean, you know, we read in the Bible that you should not take the Lord's name in vain. And if you're claiming to be a Christian, but you're living in the life of the world, you're in trouble. You need to look at those meanings more closely.
Yeah, indeed, Marlon, listen, what brought me back to the church, it was the love that people demonstrated in association with me. the people who did not reject me, people who showed love regardless what's going on in the church, regardless of what's going on in the community. They were not just being kind to me, it's observing their love and kindness toward one another on a steady basis, not being selective. I'm going to be nice to you, but I'm not going to be nice to you, or vice versa. Or I'm going to be kind to you because I like the color red you're wearing, but I don't like that aqua, so I'm not going to treat her the same. There's a prejudice in the hearts of men and women of all kinds. We go to church sometimes, and we don't like someone the way they dressed or the way they sat. That's not God's love. That's not the ambassadorship. If we're ambassadors, we got to show grace. No, listen, I am no perfect. I am one of those very first ones needs to learn more and more. What I'm saying is, as I'm seeing God's ways, I acknowledge it, and I need us all as a family of Jesus to understand life is more than about what I think. It's about how God would have handled it, and it's always through love.
Well, let's talk about love in the world. Brianna has a report on people that really need love at this time. What do you have for us, Brianna?
Yes, Marlon, I actually want to talk a little bit about the refugee situation going on in Myanmar right now. There are several Rohingya refugees fleeing the violence in Myanmar, and they're traveling to Bangladesh, and it's in the hundreds of thousands of people who are fleeing, being displaced, and picking up. They barely have anything, and they're just going because it's just very terrible down there right now. And I like what Ganem said about loving your neighbor. I think even here on LLBN, we were able to learn that your neighbor is not just someone who looks like you or thinks like you or even believes like you. And so loving your neighbor is important no matter who they are, and it's showing God's love to everyone.
Amen.
What's the issue with the refugees? Why are they running from their land?
Well, they're being, in a sense, persecuted. They're Muslims, they're minority in Myanmar. They don't even have citizenship there. And so they're pretty much being driven out of the land. A lot of news outlets will call it ethnic cleansing.
Oh.
Well, we have those examples all through history, and they're never good. We're talking about love, and one thing I love is food. Mackenzie Campbell is here to share some information about programmings that concern food. Why don't you fill us in?
Sure. So we'll talk about the food program first, if you want. That program is called Colorful Cooking. It's a smart lifestyle TV program, and is hosted by Dr. Olivia Moses. She has a PhD in public health, and she uses all the colors of the rainbow in whatever she makes on her show. And she brings in different chefs from all over the world, with different cultural backgrounds, so they make different cultural foods as well. And all of these recipes are posted on our website. So not only can you watch them, but you can also follow along with them if you want to. So that's a great resource. And our website is www.smartlifestyletv.com. And so the next program I'm going to talk about is a little bit different. It's Excavating the Bible. It's a program on His Word. And it is all about archaeology in the Middle East and comparing it to our understanding of the Bible. So it's really fascinating. They use different artifacts, maps, photographs from archaeological digs, and they talk about, compare it to the Bible, obviously, so you get a better understanding of the Bible. And if you learn better through visuals, I believe this is the program for you. And of course, again, you can find this on our website, LLBN.tv.
Well, hi, timely, because in the episode of Christian Connections that's coming up later in the evening here on the Sabbath, we had Leonard Brand, Dr. Leonard Brand, who is an archaeologist and a biologist, and he talked about how the creation is really supported by the Bible, which brings us to Creation Sabbath in next month, as a matter of fact. Jay is here to fill us in on the Creation Sabbath on, what date is it? October 28th, I believe?
Correct.
Actually, Brianna has the dates on that.
Yes, it's airing October 23rd through the 28th. It's a 5-part series, a special series about how science and the Bible intersect. Very cool, very awesome stuff. And it'll be airing 6/7 Pacific Standard Time.
And there's a mystery host in
Yes.
that program. Who is that mystery host?
Well, I am actually hosting the show, co-hosting with Dr. Tim Standish of the Geoscience Research Institute, and I can say it's very interesting stuff we're talking about.
Yeah, if I may catch those times again, it's October when?
October 23rd through 28th.
Okay. Thank you.
And we can refer to the website for more information and also the complete schedule. Well, I have a letter here from a viewer, Elaine, who is from Redlands. It's a town close to Loma Linda. She writes, "Dear LLBN friends, enclosed is my donation for the year. Please apply it where it is needed most. Thank you for what you do." And Elaine, we want to thank you for taking the time to send us this letter. Jay Hughes is one that is involved with giving, planned giving, and Jay, welcome to Week in Review.
Thank you. It's amazing how many creative ways our donors come to us with donations. We see them most of the time in cash form, but they've done things behind the scenes, and it's interesting. There's so many stories I can't go into them today, but of creative ways people come up with to find ways to support this ministry, like is it Elaine?
Elaine, yeah,
Yes.
from Redlands.
Right. And one of the ways people call and ask, and they say, well, what else can I do besides, my daily, day-to-day and week-to-week giving? And one of the ways that people find, and anyone can do this, actually, just about anyone, is designate to donate. And what does that mean? It means putting on your bank account, your savings account, CD, or even your life insurance policy. There's so many of these types of, even your IRA or retirement account. You can actually fill out what's called a beneficiary designation form, and that's done with your institution, and it can be divided up if you decide you want to give some to your son and your daughter. And the ministry of LLBN, and it's very simple, doesn't require legal fees, doesn't require a lot of work, and it can be changed throughout your lifetime. But it's a wonderful way people can donate without having to make a change in their week-to-week or month-to-month savings plans.
Well, thank you for that information, Jay. And, many of you have talked to him on the phone, so this is what he looks like. And if you haven't talked to him yet, you need to introduce yourself. So call the number on the screen and ask for Jay Hughes, and he can give you all the information that you require. Well, we're just down to our final minute. So, Ganem, I want to give you the last word. What have we missed?
Nothing, Marlon. I'm just amazed by God's might that this ministry, LLBN, been running 24/7 for 20 years, strictly by donors and viewers' support.
Amen.
There's not a single entity anywhere in the church structure that supports us financially. All our givings comes from heaven, from our mighty God, and the people who loves Him and serve Him faithfully and continues to send their gifts to LLBN. To me, that's moving mountains, Marlon. That's faith. And I'm just astonished and thankful for what God's people are doing for LLBN.
You make the difference here at the Loma Linda Broadcasting Network, and we want to personally thank you. Also, we want to remind you, Christian Connections, you can see it 6 p.m. at Pacific time, last time for the week before the new one comes out on Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time. I want to thank you for your support and your prayers for this ministry at the Loma Linda Broadcasting Network. See you next time.